According to a Axios Ipsos poll, 70% of white Americans say they trust the local police. Only 36% of African Americans do. How do you attack that problem? How do you change things?
Well, I think it's a very sad problem. As you know, as a Republican, I'm doing very well with African Americans and with the vote, in polls and everything, especially. I mean, I haven't seen one very recently because you had the plague come in from China, so that changed things up. But we had the best economy ever. We had the best numbers for African American unemployment and unemployment in history, best home ownership, best everything. We had the best numbers in everything, not only African American, but the African American numbers were
But how do you handle
great.
the law enforcement part of this?
Well, I think you have to get better than what they've been doing. I mean, obviously, that was a terrible thing. And I've spoken about it numerous times in various speeches. And, it's interesting. I spoke about it when we launched a very successful rocket, a tremendous program that culminated on that day. And now, obviously, it goes on from there. But I then made a speech, and it was a speech about the rocket. And I devoted 25% of the speech probably to what happened, or more, to what happened with respect to George Floyd. And it was, and then you listen to this. He doesn't talk about George Floyd. The rocket went off. I then made a speech and I talked about George Floyd, but they said he didn't talk about George Floyd. Half, maybe even almost half of the speech, but a large portion of the speech was devoted exactly to that. And so, with the media, basically, no matter what you do, it's never going to be good enough. But the people understand it, and that's one of the beauties to social media. I mean, I would love not to even bother with social media, but I'm able to get my word out beautifully by social media. Fortunately, you use social media too.
Right.
But we have to get the word out. Look, we have to. We have to get the police departments. Everybody has to do better. Has to do better. This is a long-term problem. This didn't happen today. This happened. I mean, a guy like Sleepy Joe Biden was in there for 43 years. Then he says, I think we should do this. I saw it today. He took his mask off for the first time in a while. I haven't seen his face for a long time. And he said, I think we should do this. Or I think we should do that. And actually, then he started speaking through the mask again. He feels comfortable with the mask on, I think. And even though there was nobody anywhere near him, which is interesting. But he made a statement about what he should do. I said, he's been there for 43 years. He was vice president for 8 years. He didn't do a thing. His crime bill was a disaster.
I'll tell you what exactly.